Good morning. Good morning. We are live on all social channels. Thank you. Good morning. Welcome to Landscaping to the Point with me, Scott. JC's right below me, and Josh that's been missing for, I don't know, a couple weeks. He got lost somewhere in the mix, so he's down at the bottom. Welcome all. Welcome everybody listening, everybody that's watching us live right now. We are live on YouTube, and we are live on Instagram. So welcome. We got some people already on Instagram actually. So welcome both you guys on Instagram. Brandon Booker, Sergeant Boone, and BD Scapes. Welcome, guys.
What's up, everyone?
How's it going, guys? Josh, JC, how's it going?
Going good, man.
Good.
Celtics
Awesome.
won. Celtics won.
Yeah, I heard that.
Yeah.
I mean, I was hoping for him. You know, I want just for you, Josh. I mean, I know you're a big.
The amount of hate I've gotten on my Instagram inbox about the Celtics winning is ridiculous, but it's great. I take a shower with all that shit. Like we won. Banner 18. Banner 18.
Were you at the game?
No, dude. I wish the cheapest ticket going a day into Game 5 was like $2,500 for like nosebleeds. Man, I couldn't justify that. I almost went during Golden State, the Golden State run, and that ticket was $1,400. But $2,500? No way. I watched it at my house.
Because you're a season ticket holder, right?
No. I go to a lot of games. No. I go. This is the first year I haven't gone to as many games as I typically do. It's just been kind of like a weird year for me. But next year, I don't know if I'll buy season tickets next year. I say every year I'll do it because the amount of money I spend on regular tickets, I probably get a little bit more of a discount. But I'm sure they're going to skyrocket now with the championship. So.
Oh yeah, definitely are, dude. Did you say $1,200 a ticket?
That was for the Golden State in 2002. This series, Game 5, was $2,500, and that was no like shitty nosebleeds. Like,
wow, dude. So if that's nosebleeds, I can't. What is it, like $7,000 just to be down on the floor? Jeez.
From the club seats down, yeah.
Wow.
Unless if you get in there early, like I got a few guys that I buy tickets off, and if I get in there early and request a game, they'll usually take care of me. But this was like the fact that they're gonna win it in the Garden, like that was huge.
Yeah,
that was huge. Yeah, I mean, that was I don't know if you guys watched the game, but that Game 5 was awesome. It was a good game.
I didn't watch any of it. All I did was watch you saying yes, they won, they didn't win, so that was my way of watching it, was from seeing your reactions on Instagram.
Did they blow the game before the last one on purpose just to bring it home?
It seems like it after the way they played in Game 5, because they weren't playing that bad through the series. But the thing with the Celtics is you never fucking know. This team can drop at the snap of a finger. Like, that's the thing. Like, they can play great, and then they can play like just shit. They get overconfident, and that's what they've been infamous for over the past few years since 2020, where they'll make a good run. I mean, they've made a run at the postseason for years, and just either dominate or get dominated. But real quick, while we're here, special shout out to Tino and Ricky. Fuck you. You fucking Mavericks lost. You guys suck. No one wanted you. You're like the aborted child that survived. Bye, bitches.
Damn.
Jeez, man, Tino. Sorry, guys.
Fuck the Mavericks.
Well, everybody has their chances every once in a while, but I mean, I'm glad the Celtics won. So definitely. So what else has been going on, guys? Been an interesting week for you. I mean, it's been hot here. We were up in the high 90s all week here. So I don't know. What about you guys, weather-wise?
Yes, summer seems like to be here, and I hate that it's kind of tracking on the same pace as it was last summer with the rain. But hopefully, that's not going to be something that's going to last long. It always feels like you're like mentally it's not summer, but it actually is, and then it goes by quick. And next thing you know, Josh is going to be getting ready for the snow removals. Well, he's probably getting ready now.
Yeah.
I mean, it's always good to get it ready now.
It's weird because it's we were in a heat wave. We were what, like 90s plus since Tuesday. I think today part of the state's in like a tornado like watch or something because of the heat and the drop of temps. So today's going to be weird. I seem to think this is kind of like a decent spring. We've never really had like a real spring in the past like 10 years, and at least in this part of Massachusetts or eastern Massachusetts, where it's either been snow to heat or just completely washout for the entire summer. So I'm hoping it's not the same thing. Well, maybe it's a washout right into the winter, but I mean, right now we're trying to stay busy, and snow's coming. So I have all my RFPs going out, and hopefully these contracts start coming back, because even the snow season's been weird, man, with the lack of snow. You do have these property managers that I feel like they squawk between one another, and these inclusive and seasonal prices are all starting to drop. Getting a lot of pushback with people.
Right. Yeah. It's. I think snow's going to be always an interesting thing. So it's always. I think the last couple of years it's been up and down. So.
Hey, old boy, Rip and Dip. This is Gay. Your name? Yeah.
Yeah, his name's
Scott and I were talking last week, and we were wondering how your new mower is working out for you so far.
Yeah,
the thing's a beast, man. The thing's crazy. I haven't used it that much myself, but so we just took over the Boston Public Library landscaping contract, and you got to figure we got the accounts. What is it? We got them 2 weeks ago, so we had 6 weeks of growing season to compete with, and that thing fucking bulldozed through probably 3 to 4 feet worth of tall grass.
Wow.
It does clog, the design of the chute of the tubing is a little then for the power that thing's putting out. I think I said that thing's 37 horsepower. So, but the thing's a beast. It has had been sharpened a lot because of the wetness and the doing it. We get the hot heat in the afternoon, and then the cooler nights. You get that dewy grass. So all the stuff is sticking to the deck. So a lot of scraping, but the thing's a beast. So it was definitely worth the money.
Awesome. So I got a great topic today. So my topic is customer issues, and I know Josh has dealt with this many times, and I'm doing a lot more dealing with it this year. I've had a couple customers that are being nitpicky and pretty much having to call us out nonstop about little things. So how do you deal with that, Josh, when you have to go out for a service call? Do you charge for that service call? Do you go out and look at the job? If it's something easy, do you go ahead and fix it? Or do you just automatically charge them a service call plus the whatever it is to fix it?
I mean, it depends on the call. I mean, if it's something we just did.
Yeah, it's something we did 2 weeks ago, but it's like we've been doing reoccurring work for this lady, and it seems like she pays her, her initial deposit for whatever the work it is. And then like she gets the bill for the work that is done, and then like 2 weeks later she's like, this is going on, or this is going on, or this is going on. This last time we replaced a bunch of irrigation heads. We replaced the bell housing and all that stuff, and literally everything was fine for 2 weeks, and then all of a sudden it's been like, oh well, this head's leaking, the ball valve's leaking. And when she called me and asked me about the ball valve, it was like, it just literally rained a couple hours ago. And I'm like, okay, like, how do I know that that's not from the rain? It's one of those things you don't know until you actually go out there and look at it. So
this is where verbiage is important when you're writing up an estimate. Does it fall in your scope of work for what your proposal said? So like, you're doing guys that are doing like a patio install, for instance. We just did a patio install last year, and the guy's having an irrigation issue. My crew lead swears up and down that there was no irrigation running through that patio, but there's water coming up through a section of the patio, the corner section. So I'm going to assume that a spike was ran through the irrigation line, and they have to get out there and repair it. But for something like that, if we damaged it, then obviously no, I'm not gonna touch it. I'm not gonna charge him.
Okay.
If for some reason that's a head that was, beat up and it's old, then yeah, we'd probably charge him a service call. But it all depends on your scope of work. So if you're working in the vicinity of that area and things come up, those are things that are going to come up. But if you didn't touch that area and you have evidence and shows it, yeah, you charge a service call. If you want to be nice, you take care of it. But if you have a customer like that that's constantly calling and calling and calling to repair this and it has nothing to do with you, then you kind of have to have that conversation with them. But you always have to make sure that you guys did what they were supposed to do. This is where communication becomes a big must with your crew and your customer to make sure things are taken care of. You also don't want to look an asshole if you're saying you didn't do it, and you find out you guys ran a piece of heavy equipment over something and destroyed something. So you charge where it's according. You can put it in your system as a charge, and if it's something that is on you, then you back it off and you take it off.
Okay. JC, your thoughts?
Right now, you can't have any customer issues if you don't have any customers.
That's right. Right.
No,
you gotta have customers, but
that's an issue in itself, right?
Yep.
Yeah, man, I don't know. Like, I don't really think I dealt with that too much where it got to a point where people were getting nitpicky with things. I don't know. Do you guys find that the more, I don't know, manicured property, the more nitpicking you get, or do you find that with just about everybody that just wants their property mowed and whatever?
I feel like I see a lot of it more when we do a lot bigger jobs. When we do a lot big jobs, the customers will nitpick about certain things. And I get what Josh is saying. I know a lot of the dealing with stuff this year, we put in a lot of different verbiage into it to, show that certain things are done exactly to, like to the inch or something like that. Or we had to redesign something because literally our mulching used to say, well, we bed edge when we mulch. And the one lady thought we actually put edging in when we actually mulch. And it's kind of like you got to rechange it around. So we put it in now that we redefine the bed edges.
Yeah.
So, that hopefully will change in the past, where nobody will come in there and ask. So, it's
True.
all about how everything goes, I guess. I mean, certain people look at things differently than other people. Some people just look at it like, we get calls all the time. People are just like, oh, just mulch this, and you're like, well, I got to edge it out. I got to pull the weeds. I got to, blow out any of the leaves. And they're like, well, no, that's not what I asked you. I just asked you to throw a mulch down. And well, I'm not going to be that kind of guy.
That verbiage is really important. And like 2 words can change a whole estimate of how you write it. There's a lot of confusion. And it's not up to a customer to ask because it's the way, if you write it up a certain way, it's like you said, that's common sense to a landscaper that, edging the beds is a natural edge. But to someone that doesn't do it every day, they're not going to know the terms and the lingo of shit we use all the time. Where they're thinking, what the hell's an edge? But like, you just said to John, like John's channel on YouTube said customers are only nitpicky on payday. That's so true. Like as soon as, I used to have, when I had a lot of residential mowing customers, you'd send that bill out. That's when all of a sudden, well, hey, you missed this. It's like, well, why didn't you send an email as soon as they did it? Grass does nothing but grow, so we can't tell. If there's an issue, bring it up. And this is where you go back, at the end of the year, if you're mowing, you're hardscaping, you're doing some sort of service-based fertilization or irrigation, you look at the bottom 10%. You get those people that are nitpicky to maybe drag their feet on paying the bills, or every week there's something that you missed, you didn't do. And if there's no merit to it, but just make sure there's no merit, because accountability goes a long way too, where maybe you're rushing or you're stressed out and you're fucking shit up all week. If not, if that's not the case, cut the cord. Bye. At the end of the year, you cut that bottom 10% and you get rid of that shit. It's not worth the heck.
I had a customer kind of nitpicky, I guess. He was more annoying because his property had a lot of trees and a lot of dry trees, and every day, twigs and branches would fall down. And I'm not going to pick those up because there's a lot of them unless he wants me to do them, and he doesn't want me to do them. But what he does is he's lazy, or he was lazy, and he'd pick them up, but he put them in like random piles throughout the property. And then, of course, the grass is growing in between them, and I don't want to hit them with my mower, and I'm not going to pick them up. So what I would do is I'd mow around them, and he'd have these little patches of things, whatever. And, there were areas in his yard that he wanted me to kind of mow like a path towards that probably hasn't been a path in a very, very long time. I'm like, I can't get in there with my mower. And if you want me to do it with the weed whacker, it's going to be, more. But he just refused to pick up the branches. He would just put them in a pile and leave them there. I don't know who he left them there for. I don't know if he was thinking that I was going to do it, but he still, I mean, he still does that. I do have a few customers left, but he still does that. And I still mow around them. And he doesn't say anything anymore. And we just kind of don't talk about it,
So did you tell him that, like, for me to do it, it's going to cost this much to pick up the sticks every time more?
Yeah. I mean, I had to tell. I had no choice, because if I were just to do it just quick, there's no quick way of doing it. There's so much. Like, his property is fairly decently big. I'd have to go to each pile, and spend so much time. I was like, yeah, like, I'm gonna have to charge you for that, because he didn't want that, but he kind of expected me to do it. So I continue to do what I do, and I guess he figured it out. But he still leaves the piles there, and I still mow around them.
Wow. Yeah, that's always interesting. I mean, I had a customer like that didn't want to pay for us to pull weeds out of the beds, but she'd go pull them and throw them in the middle of the yard. And I told her, like, hey, it's going to cost money for us to pick up those weeds, or you should just pay us for doing the weed bed on the beds. And she said eventually she just was like, just mow over them. And I'm like, well, you're paying a company to fert it. Like, you're just spreading weed seed everywhere. Like, it's not.
Yeah.
And she's like, no, it's fine. And I'm like, okay, fine.
Look, and a big thing when it comes to someone like that is receipts, communication receipts, red receipts. Like, even though they talk to you in person, something like that, where, you're trying to tell them, like, hey, you invest in a fertilization and lawn care program, and you want me to mulch over all these weeds when you got a lush green lawn, text it to it. As soon as you're done with the conversation, to hear her, text it, email it, just confirm that you have it. Again, in the day and age where everybody just wants to point the fucking finger and there's no accountability, especially with customers where everybody wants something for nothing, make sure you cover your bases. It takes 3 seconds to get in the car and say, hey, just want to, follow up with a conversation about, spreading the weeds. This is why you don't do it. Boom, see you later.
Yeah, even take pictures too, maybe, right?
Yeah.
Listen, having everything written up, like I had a lady a few weeks ago that was a referral from a buddy of mine. Her home was probably 100 yards from our shop, and she wanted lawn mowing. We haven't really been doing a lot of residential lawn mowing. We're mainly commercial in that end, but I was like, hey, whatever, it's right there, we'll take it. Gave her a quote for $80. It was quick, in and out. She goes, whoa, that's high. What's included in that? I'm like, the mow your grass. We weed whack your edges, we'll line edge, the beds and the walkway and blow off the hard space. She goes, that seems expensive for what it is. She said, what sets you apart from other companies? And I go, it's lawn mowing. I said, not much. I said, but my cost of business might be a little bit higher than the guy that was doing it. I said, I can tell you that we'll do a good job and we show up and we have a work ethic, And she wants to know if we're watering the grass, if we're pulling weeds. That was, and I think a lot of people, and I laughed at it, but I do remember a lot of people back in the day, in order to keep the client, would say, well, I don't do bi-weekly service, because they would ask for bi-weekly. But when I'm there, I'll spend that 45 minutes to an hour. I'll pull some weeds. I'll do this if you can't mow the grass. It's just not my business model. It's like, if you're charging them $80 a cut, and this is across the board with any industry, anything you're doing for labor. If you tell them you're going to show up $80 a week, in the spring, that $80, I'm not charging a double cut when I got to bag it and go to the truck or go out back and dump it 15 times. So it's kind of, you got to take the bad with the good. Where in the summer, where there's not much growing, I can zip through it. It's where I make my money on the end. So at the end of the day, we told them this probably isn't a good fit for you or for us. We'll move on, because I have a feeling this is going to be the lady that says, she'll hold you to the, hey, you told me you were going to blow off the patio and the walkway, and there's a leaf that fell on it. Like, what's going on there? And she's having you come back. Those are the customers where, yeah, I'm going out and I'm charging you the man hour to come out and blow off that leaf in your patio, because those are the people I have had in the past that were quite stupid shit, and they don't spend any other money with you, so it's not worth going out there. So with her, I went the other way with it. I wasn't going to bother with it.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, yeah, I feel like there is a lot of things that guys do to keep the customer, like little things like that. And it's one of those things that you got to let them know what your services are. And if they're within that service, let them know like, hey, I can pull the weeds for you. It's going to cost you this much.
What happened to our last guy?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, and that's what. Listen, I was in automotive before this, and automotive was worse than this. You'd put wipers on someone's car, and then their brakes would be grinding up 3 weeks later, and they come back to you and said, "Hey, my car was fine since you put wipers on it. Like, what's going on?" And like I tell you, the shit that people correlate was ridiculous, and it's like some people, I get it sometimes where things are just such a coincidence, but some people are just so far-fetched and far out with their accusations on things. How do you think a plumber feels? A plumber goes in a snaky drain, and then God forbid something else happens in the house. You're marrying that customer just because of a coincidence,
Right. Oh yeah. It's one of those things. It's a hard thing, I guess, to do, especially charge something for something that you've already done, or if it's something that you haven't done. I mean, yeah, that's something where I think you definitely got to charge when you go back out, and let them know too. A good thing, especially since all of us have the Jobber or CRM. One of the things we're going to do is start now. If a customer's talking to us and actually want something new done, we're going to go ahead and pull up an invoice, a quote, and have them sign off on it. So that way it's already, in writing too. Like you kind of said, to just go ahead and text it back to them. That way it's easier for us. So that way it's in our system. Even if we're making notes, I think we can make notes and have them sign off on it. So that's one of the things we want to do, is so that way it covers not only me but my my crew leader or any of my other guys out there to know exactly what's going on. Paul Camara says set realistic expectations from the start. I think that's one of the best things you can do. Tell them right away, like Josh would always say, make sure your verbiage is right. Have everything in writing, right, Josh?
It's easy to do it that way, man, because then people assuming you don't have a leg to stand on. Like the realistic expectations is like, dude, we're here to cut your grass. You want the beds to look good, you got to pay. You want the shrubbery to look good, you got to pay. And then obviously, are you paying for someone to come out that knows what they're doing and when to hand from and everything? Or are you paying for a guy to just come out with gas-powered hedge trimmers and just round everything out and make it look manicured? There's a difference for what you're going to pay. So yeah, you got to set the expectation for the customer, but you also have to educate and make sure everybody knows what you're doing down to the T. In the commercial development, if you're not following those plans to a T, you'll lose your shirt. And they do check when it comes to the depth of the mulch. Like, make sure you're writing things down.
Yeah. So now on a commercial, do you write everything down to the T? Like, I'm going to prune all the these bushes, like boxwoods, down circular. And then, the spirea, I'm going to let go during the spring because it's blooming. Do you write all that down?
It's more, yeah. So it's more prune per plume and when allows. So obviously, like certain things bloom in spring, go out, we deadhead. And then midsummer, once everything's gone, we do one big prune to take everything back. But yeah, it's specified, but not species specific to normal prune. Okay.
So I know what I do is on ours, we have it said that we prune what needs to be pruned, and what we will come back in the fall and prune everything back. So I think that's one of the good things, because a lot of people, like you said, don't know what needs to be pruned and when. And educating them is the best thing. Paul Camara also says, on the other hand, the customer isn't always wrong. You're correct, Paul. Sometimes the customer can be right about certain things. It's just about knowing and exactly making sure that they are correct on certain stuff. And I think going back out and taking a look at stuff, and it might be leaking, it might not be leaking. So I think that's one of the things you have to do. JC says over on YouTube, 113 days, 14 hours and 17 minutes and 40. Well, now it's less than 48 seconds to equip. So, and I think Josh is going. I think if not, I'm going to pay for his way. So hopefully he's going.
As of right now, I am still anticipating attending.
Okay, good.
Weak. Good. That's a weak answer.
It is a weak answer.
Weak answer.
Pablo says you can tell them to send you a text with all the information that you talked about, especially on the little details of the conversation, so you can have it for your records. I agree on that. A lot of times, a lot of my customers, I'll have them text me or email me on certain stuff. If there's pictures that if something's wrong, take a picture of it, send it to me so that way I can see. I think it's easier that way than just, sometimes talking over the phone. You can't get all the information that they are talking about unless you're sitting there writing it down. It's easier.
Just to touch on what Paul said there. The customer isn't always wrong, and he's 100% right, because we make mistakes, we rush. Sometimes we misunderstand or misinterpret what people are saying. But again, writing this stuff down, whether it's on a pad of paper or a text, I mean, dude, you have everything in this right here. Right. you have chat. I have ChatGPT on my phone, where if I need to write up a quick contract and I'm not sure, I can just say, hey, write up a contract for pruning shrubbery. The more stuff that's written down and signed, the more you have a reference to go back to see what you're doing. But if you write down exactly, if you're going in and you're doing an enhancement on the house and you're planting flowers and you're pruning out shrubbery and you're pulling out, I think one of the biggest things is when people go into a messy house and they're going to pull out weeds, they end up pulling out perennials because they're just used to looking at like hardy shrubs. They don't know what annuals are or what perennials are there to prune down, and they just cut everything down and destroy everything. If you take the time, and this is what you might have to charge for the walk through the estimate, or if you're new, you might want to do it just to gain some experience. Mark things down on a map, or maybe spray paint things out so that because there are so many ways to miscommunicate with your customer. And Paul's right, where sometimes the customer can be right, because you got a million things running through your head while you're sitting there talking. You might not listen or hear or follow up on something. But if you have it jotted down on your phone, or you have it on your QuickBooks or your CRM or whatnot, you can reference it.
Is there such thing as too much documentation? I don't think so, but I, like, for example, let's say a plumber breaks something. Like, should that plumber take a picture of what he broke so that he doesn't get blamed for something else that's greater damage?
If I broke something,
if
I was a plumber, just to keep on that example, I would photograph that entire line. Let's say that it was a drainage line. I'd photograph that entire line, showing what I broke and how I broke it, so I have some sort of proof of what I did.
Yeah.
But again, if a guy that's mowing my lawn comes up with the fucking encyclopedia of contracts, I'm probably gonna look the other way, because to me it's just kind of like, why am I signing for you to cut my lawn? But it would be nice to have just a quick 1 page showing what you're doing when you come each week, when you're coming, the price, the cancellation policy, and the sign.
Right.
6 lines, easy as that. But document, I mean, that's why, like, sometimes it's good to have the before and afters of, like, doing a bed, like the example what I just said. So one of the libraries we just took over, in Adams Square in Dorchester, we're talking to the librarian, and they eliminated all their lawn and basically just got into like a greenscape where everything's perennial and trees. The guy that had the contract last year went in there late, didn't know what was what, and weed whacked the entire thing down. This is a beautiful garden. So we have the same issue where we got the contract late, and now it's all weeds. So now we have to go in there and actually decipher what's what, and that's kind of the pain, because our contract is specific to weed and prune what needs to be pruned. I can weed whack it down, but I won't do it without some sort of written approval.
Yeah, I mean, you could always kind of like amend the contract for things like that, certain occasions, or like a one-time situation, because shit happens, right?
I missed the podcast last week because overnight I get a call to go into the city for a large branch that was overhanging a sidewalk at one of the branches. And it kind of got delayed because I wouldn't do it until I got correct verbiage saying, hey, can you cut down that one individual branch that's overhanging and nothing else, and then quote for the rest. They just said, go down there and trim the tree that's hanging over. Wow. So again, that could be misconstrued several different ways, I thought. Where like, am I trimming this entire thing back? Because when I got there, most of it was dead. Like the thing's ready to fall over. So I finally got my verbiage where it was like, remove overhanging limb, causing possible liability on city walkway, blah, blah, blah. Went down, cut it up, took more photos of that entire area to show, hey, there's a liability here. Kids play, public walkway. This tree's dying. You either need to remove the branches or you need to remove the tree.
Right.
So
nice.
I paused for a little bit. It sucked because I didn't get back in until really late and nightmare.
Right.
But I wanted to make sure I got that verbiage.
That's smart.
Yeah, I get that.
So that way, when that tree does fall, it's not your responsibility. You've already made it aware to them. Yeah.
Exactly, because what's people like to pass the liability, right? So like obviously the city's gonna try to pass it to me, but if I have proof, I just show it to my insurance company. My insurance company goes, here you go, see you later. It's the same thing. It's the same thing with you. Like when you're digging, anything like that, you have everything written down. That's why you call 811 for your dig safe to make sure that you're covered. So we have documentation of what lines are where and that you called. So if you hit something over here and it's not marked, you're not responsible for it.
Right. So Sergeant Boone has a question on Instagram. He says, do you three find that having a residential maintenance contract is easier than doing one-off jobs, aka mowing a customer that you do mulch, hedging, and treatments for also? I think, it's all up to you guys. What do you guys think? I got my little opinion on it, but I'll let you guys throw it out there.
My thing is when you start off, you kind of tend to do those more one-off types of jobs. And just, aside of like responsibility when it comes to contract, I think you want to try to aim towards a more consistent workflow. That's my reason for it. So I would say like having that contractual agreement on residential sides as opposed to, those one-time jobs. Because if you think about it, right, even from a customer service standpoint, reviews, word of mouth, we could all agree that's where most of the business comes from. Correct. If you're doing these one-off jobs, all it takes is one person to say, yeah, this company sucks. But like, whereas you're building a reputation with your customer throughout the years and their word's going to be a little more valid than those one-off jobs. I know I'm kind of going off on a different subject here as far as contract stuff, but I think if you have that consistency in your client base a little better, as opposed to kind of scrambling around, you never know what you're going to be doing each week. Whether you have 5 jobs, 10 jobs, or 15 jobs, you don't.
Right. Josh, your thoughts?
Scott, can you read that question back one more time?
Do you three find that having a residential maintenance contract is easier than doing one-off jobs, aka mowing customer that you do mulching, hedging, and treatments for too? So like, do you feel like having a contract doing all kinds of stuff for one person on a daily, like on a weekly basis or whatever it is, than doing like the one-off jobs where they call you and say, hey, I just need one, my job mowed, or I just need my bushes pruned?
Yeah, it's 50-50. If you're mowing one-offs, I'd say no, because usually when you get into one-off mows, the grasses are tall. You don't know what's buried in there, bricks, rocks, glass bottles, etc. Things like pruning jobs that are one-off, those are great. But the consistency of that contract. Now, when I did mostly residential maintenance, I found a business model where when I was getting rid of that bottom 10%, my goal was to try to get every customer to sign up for at least 2 other services, including outside of mowing. So it would be mowing and then pruning and cleanup, or mowing and pruning fertilizer or irrigation. So to have those 2, and that allowed me to budget a little bit more and to set my work schedule for the next 3 or 4 months. So I knew I had jobs, so I knew who I could hire in. Now, if you're basing off solely like one-offs, that's going to be tricky because, people don't know, like James was saying, people don't know you. Your reputation isn't built as big with one-offs because they're only going off of, okay, trim my bushes one time. I don't know what his mowing skills are. Rather than, I go to Jensen's house every week, but I'm contracted for mulch, fertilizer, snow driveway snow plowing, mowing, etc. I do think if you can build that base that's a landscape maintenance contract residentials and then fill in the voids here and there with the one-offs, it's good because you will get those home runs that are one-offs. Like I used to love getting the calls for pruning a garden that hasn't been pruned in 5 years, and you're there for 2 days and you're clearing a couple $1,000 for just running a $200 set of hedge trimmers. but knowing that you have a budget to work with your customers, and you can have your work booked out for 2 months, and you know that you can hire a guy based off that contractual work you have, that's great. So I would go with the contractual. So that's why I like the commercial stuff I had. It's not super. It's not, I'm not getting rich off it marginally, but I know what I have and I can budget throughout the season for it.
True. I agree with you on that. I mean, we love one-off mulchings, prunings. We have tons of those jobs. It's the mowings. We don't like to do one-off mowings where they're calling us for one time. Even we have people that'll stop us. We'll be doing 2-3 jobs that were there weekly, and they'll be right across the street. Like, oh, I'm going on vacation next week. Can you mow me? No, I can't, because I really want to be able to be there for the full time if I'm going to mow that. It's like you said, Josh, it's one of those things. You don't know where everything's at. A sprinkler head could be up. A golf ball could be in the middle of the yard, and the yard's, 5 foot tall, and you're cutting it, and you shoot that golf ball, and it, breaks a window. Like, that's one of the things I'm more iffy about doing than anything. And we've kind of gone away from that. We even got away from doing bi-weekly mowings. We only do weekly mowings. If you're going to be on a customer contracts, we do it weekly. Our one-off mulchings. I love one-off mulchings. I love one-off prunings. The irrigation. At least with the irrigation and the ferts, I know that, hey, I'm going to be out there 6 times for the fert. If I'm with the irrigation, I'm going to be out there 3 times a year. If not more. That's a little bit better on it than the mowing one-offs, because it's so hard on the one-offs on mowing when it comes to that.
Yeah. I think let your inner salesman come out. Like, if you're getting one-offs, try to turn it into a contract. So, like, you guys know, like, I like snow plowing. Snow plowing's kind of my thing. I try to build my business around the snow. When I get a call for, a small commercial lot, and they ask me, our guy didn't show up, or we don't have a guy, it's like, yeah, we'll come, but you need to sign a 2-year agreement. But we don't want to do that. Well, we won't service it. Like, we have customers we have to take care of. We're loaded as it is. We need to be able to know we're there. So, we have enough snow work where I can get away with doing that. But I feel like if someone calls for a one-off mulch job, like, try to upsell other stuff, get them on the email list. If they call for a one-off mowing, see if you can get in there, find out what that budget is. Maybe you can sign them up and say, hey, I can't meet your budget with the mowing, but, maybe, we could do something with the mulch or the irrigation. We do quality work, blah, blah, blah. You give them a little discount their first year on it, and you try to get them into that full scope of work. Let the inner salesman come on. And you're not going to get them all. And some people just want the one-off. They cut their grass 5 times a year.
Yeah. Like, oh. I don't understand that, because the way I look at it, it's more to the benefit of the customer than it is to the company. Like, dude, like, if I'm a customer, why do I want to constantly try to find a company to come out and do one thing for me, like once or twice or 3 times? Like, it's just more convenient to have one guy or a company to do all the things you need to do, and you don't have to keep on seeking things out. Like, I'll give you an example, just because I'm an idiot. I bought my house maybe about 8 years ago, and I didn't realize how clogged gutters get. And I was in the yard maybe 2 weeks ago, and I'm looking up, and I'm like, I think I told Josh this, and I'm like, I see a literal tree growing out of one of my gutters. And I'm like, crap, like I totally forgot. Just for 8 years, I forgot I needed to get my gutters cleaned. So I called this company, and they came out. They did a really good job. And I was like, dude, can you just, like, every year come out, like, a couple times a year, whatever you need to get done. I don't know. Recommend to me what I'm supposed to do. Yeah. So now he's, I signed up with him. So now he comes, he's going to be doing it consistently. I don't have to worry about it anymore.
Right. Yeah. I think a lot of customers, when they get you as a one-off for like a mulch or a fert or a prune, if they love what you do for them and it saves them time and money, you're going to have that customer for a long time, as long as you're doing the job correctly and doing it to where they enjoy and love what you're doing. So, that's one of the things that, like, we love to do that, because we've had customers for over 15 years straight that all we do is go and prune their bushes. All we do is go and fertilize their yard. All we do is do their irrigation. And they know us as that, that company does this. But sometimes you might get up that one that says, hey, I see you do, irrigation. What other services do you do? Do you mulch? Do you do this? It get you in the door sometimes. But as a one-off mowing, sometimes they're just like, yeah, I just need one time. I mow it all the time. It's hard on that when it comes to that. And I think that's one of the reasons why we love doing the one-off on prunings and stuff.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Good questions.
Yeah, very good questions today. So this month is mental health. Josh, tell me one thing I can do to increase my mental health before the end of the month. I can get you on the spot today.
No, I'm trying to behave with my answer.
Don't drink.
Take some time for yourself. Shut it off. Shut off the noise. Across the board for anybody in trades or business owners that might listen to this, there's a lot of stress. You're a business owner, you're an employee, you're a laborer, you're a husband or wife, you're maybe a dad or mom. There's a lot of noise that goes on in your head, and sometimes we forget that like this isn't all. This isn't everything. Your job, your career. Sometimes you gotta just shut it off and go somewhere where it's quiet and think about what matters. Shut it off.
Yeah, like your microphone.
Yep, shut your microphone off again, like you every day. No, I think you gotta take time.
It's the do you. It's the do you method. You gotta put you first and take care of yourself. And I found myself kind of in that rut the past, since December. Falling into those ruts. So, and I was sloppy with that. And I tried the 75 hard and I failed on it several times, and I took a step back, and I'll try it again. But I dropped the dime on that. I had a lot going on. The start of the year, the season was horrible for me this year. This was a massive drop up of work, and I don't know if that's a sign of what's coming.
Lots more.
It could be, could be a dry up, could be just a weird spell of not marketing correctly. But there was a lot of stress and anxiety, in my head for quite some time, and even now, and it's bit by bit trying to take the steps back, and I fuck up and I fail, and I have to take another step back and look at it and kind of just pivot. It's all about the pivot we hear about. So
I had a stressful last 2 months, man. I don't know what it was. It was just it seemed like I had a busy schedule, and I was getting like anxious for like hurry up and get it done. And then as soon as I finished doing that, there's something else that, coming up in the schedule, and I'm just like, I couldn't stop. I just want to get the task done and then just have time to just like chill. And I haven't really had that time to do that yet. Now I'm in that situation where I kind of relax a little bit, which is a good thing. But someone, I don't know if we brought this up before, but someone was talking to me. I don't remember, within the last week or two, and they were saying how like when the airplane drops the oxygen mask, they always tell you to put the oxygen mask on you first, and for an analogy in life, that's something you got to do. Hey, hold on a second. I got someone at my door.
Uh-oh. So I think, you got to take time for yourself. I get stressed out in the spring, and you got to sometimes relax and just remember there's lots of us out there that you were friends with Josh, JC. I have a bunch of other people that, reach out to them, just check on them every once in a while and say, hey, how's everything going? You don't have to be like, hey, I know it's stressful this time, but yeah, reach out to somebody, even just say hi, say what's going on. That's what you got to do. I always text Josh, but he doesn't ever text me back because he doesn't like
you. Yeah, right. I text you back all the time. Wow. If I don't text someone back, it's because I'm knee deep in shit.
Right. But I think that's what we got to do. I mean, we're all out here in the same thing in the industry, and I have some close people around here, and we all kind of check around with each other, and that's what you got to do. We all get stressful. It could be a customer issue, it could be employees, it could be just way overloaded, and you got tons of work, and you got to figure out what to do.
Dude, I think, and I'm going to speak to men in general. I think we underestimate, the stress and anxiety, and being in our demographic. I mean, remember our demographic is like the highest for like successful suicide attempts,
Right.
you know, and I think that says something. And I think that's the stress of being like a provider, presider, and you know, trying to be all these walks of life for people, and like you said, not having, you know, these extensions to reach out to when you need someone, or feeling like you're a pussy or a bitch because you got to reach out to someone. You know what I mean? And I don't
think you should feel that way. I really don't. I mean, I know that, like you said, a lot of us do feel that way because we think that because we should be able to handle it ourselves and not be able to go out and say, hey, I need help. And I think a lot more people need to say that, is like, hey, I need help. I need to talk to somebody. And like you said, a lot of us men are just, we feel like crap that we got to tell somebody else, like, hey man, I need help.
Yeah, well, that's better than putting a fucking bullet in your head or a knife in your head. You know, that's and unfortunately that and that's what I mean. I think we underestimate that the power of a lack of healthy mental health can take on a male in our age demographic, because it happens so fucking often that if it's not in the form of self-harm, it might be in the form of self-medicating, where you know you take something that puts you over the edge. You drink, you know, you're having too many drinks, and you go out and you go to drive home and you kill yourself or somebody else. You know what I mean? There's just too many negative possibilities that, you know, not having some. Listen, I think any three of us would talk to someone from fucking East Bumfuck if they reached out and needed help. You know, so I mean, it's there. You know.
Yep, we're here for you guys. If you ever need to talk, any of us, just reach out to us. You know, we'll talk to you if you need help. You know, reach out to anybody if you need help. Don't keep trying to take it all by yourself. I mean, that's what men do, is try to make sure that they get everything done right, and you know, don't want to express their feelings. And I think, you know, because of the way things are anymore, you got to express your feelings. You got to tell people that you need help. You need something. So
yeah, there's many factors when it comes to those things, and it's like sometimes societal factors plays a role, or what you expect, you know, society to view you as. And most guys obviously want to have that leadership role and, you know, be strong and be overcoming of any types of difficulties. But like when you break a wing and you're unable to fly, like that brings you down, you know, because that's what you're known to do. So it's like people that fall in that mind state where they're vulnerable to, you know, situations of depression, all that stuff. It's like you can't believe that that's what's bringing you down. You know, something that's like, oh man, you know, I feel like I'm weak to talk about those types of things, because, you know, it seems like such a small thing, and I can't believe it's debilitating me that much, you know. And it's like, so it's almost like there's an embarrassment behind it too, of course, you know, and the stigmas behind all that stuff. But yeah, man, you know, you're a stronger person for being able to reach out to somebody and talk about those things, as opposed to bottling all that stuff up.
Bro, I'll tell you an example, right? So, like I mentioned before, so like I'm medicated for a bipolar disorder, right, and severe depressive disorder, right? Chemical imbalance in my brain, and I have these instances like this year. The beginning of this year was horrible for business, so I'm stressed. So I'm waking up at 4 a.m. to get going to work. I'm working till 8 o'clock at night. I'm stressing because I'm failing on my home life. The cash flow for the business sucked this year, so my stress level was through the roof. I didn't have enough work, so I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to do. I have a property management company, local property management company, that owes me tens of thousands of dollars from snow plowing that kind of fucked me up a little bit because I have plans with. And then what ends up happening is I get so stressed that I forget to take these medications. And I don't always realize that, you know, missing 2 and 3 days of taking this bipolar medication, what it can do to my fucking head and how dizzy I can get. That's why people like my wife, you know, she'll remind me, do you take your meds? And I get, you know, I get a little, you know, in my own feelings about like, what do you mean? But then I have other men outside that I've opened up to before, and that I never thought I'd be able to do. But they'll even look and be like, bro, fucking pause for a second. You know, look where we are, you know, and organize what takes your priority for your day. Because now you're reaching at everything that's causing anxiety. And because I'm forgetting my pills, what's my main priority? I take my fucking pills. because when I don't take these pills, I go off the fucking deep end, and you know the depressive disorder kicks in and it fucks me up. So creating, and I know it's tough because not everybody has that realm, but I mean, too, with social media and you know the ways you can reach out to people, just fucking reach out. You know, I know it's easier said than done, but I get it, and I get where it can go wrong with men our demographic and our expectations of societal expectations for us, and I think that's what happens a lot. So I know I kind of went in a circle, I didn't finish what I was saying, but just as someone who's gone through it, and I get it, I know it's hard to reach out, but I reached out to the right people in a local group of men, and they can call you out on your shit, and you can call them out on their shit, and you can go to them, and sometimes you realize, like, hey, maybe not everything is a single falling down on you. You just got to take the pieces and put the problems on the shelf that need to be on the shelf, and address the ones that are need immediate attention.
Yeah, man. I like we all have different walks of life and pasts and stuff like that, and like obviously I can't really relate to a lot of those things, but like whenever I find myself in a situation where it's monotony, you have to find something to break that monotony and just do something that's breaking that routine. Like take a road trip to like a different town, and then go shopping somewhere else different or something, or just like go like to the lake or something, and just like do something that you normally wouldn't do, so that it breaks up what you did the week before. That was the exact same thing that you were bound to do that week. Like you just got to change it up, because if you fall in that same rotation, you're going to think you're a revolving door, and you don't have any other option or another way out. Like you got to like stop for a second. Like you said, pause and just do something different, man. Just like go down to Newport for the beach, go see Paul Kamara, go.
Bro, like, you're 100% right. Cause years ago I was going through something, and I was leaving the shop to go do a job. And just like you said, but in my head it popped in. I said, you know what? Fuck this shit. This will be here fucking Monday. I call my wife. I said, get the kids ready. I said, I'm picking you up. We're going to Portland, Maine. What? Said, yeah, go on. And it was the best thing because it broke it up. I'm like, you know what? Fucking, it was an irrigation job. I'm like, it'll be there fucking Monday. I call the person and said, listen, something came up. I can't make it. See you later.
Right.
And you're right. Breaking up the monotony. You're 100% right, Jensen.
Yeah, definitely. You gotta do something for yourself. Sometimes you gotta take that minute and just say, I need a break. I need to go do something else, and do it. So true. Well, this was a great episode, guys. Thank you for all joining us. We had some great questions over from Instagram, so thank you guys. Thank you for listening. Keep listening to us on Spotify. Rewatch it on YouTube. And we'll be back next week with another great topic. Thank you, Josh. Thank you, JC, for some great information. And go get Dippin' Donuts, because it's
unofficial sponsor, Dippin' Donuts. Spencer.
Yeah, they're their unofficial sponsor. But our official sponsor is Cujo. Thank you guys for sponsoring the show. And remember, it's going to be a great day. So